Hey guys, today we're going to talk about like terms. And it's important that we talk about these things when we're talking about algebra because there are certain things you can do with variables and certain things you can't do. And you need to be absolutely clear on these things before you go about trying to do any kind of operations or solving equations. And hopefully that'll become more obvious as we do a couple. So let's start with an equation that looks like this. Or an expression, sorry, not an equation. 3x plus 2 plus 2x plus 4. So what would be asked of you in terms of this would be to simplify the expression. So we want to make it less simple than, more simple than the four terms we currently have. So we can start by thinking about which things look similar. So I have a 3x, and I would ask myself, or you could ask yourself, is there anything else that looks like this? Well, the 2 doesn't quite look like it because it doesn't have an x, but the 2x does. I'm going to draw a box around that. And I drew a box around the sign too because that means that we're adding 2 x's to the equation here. Let's see what else we have here. We also have a positive 2 and a positive 4. And what our plan is going to be to combine these guys and try to do a little bit of simplification. So I can combine the 3x and the 2x to get 5x's. That should make sense. And I can combine 2 and 4 together to get 6. So you may be asking yourself now, and I'm going to go back here. So this is simplified now. This is 5x plus 6. But you may be asking yourself, how come 3x plus 2 does not equal 5x? Well, maybe we can think about it this way. The x's, if we have 3 unknown things, I mean, it could be 3 times 10 if x was 10. And 3 times 10 plus 2 would be 32, right? And if I went back here and plugged it in and said, oh, is 5 times 10 the same thing as 32? No way, it's 50. So you can't actually add a 3x and a 2. So, and this is going to get, as you can imagine, might get a little more complicated down the road. But just know that as long as they look the same and they have an x next to it, or not an x, or a y next to it, you can combine it with other things that look like it. So maybe I'll just do this. Maybe I'll show you a couple things that are similar. So a 3x and a 2x can go together, and a 4y and a 3y can go together. And it's sort of like they're wearing like a big piece of jewelry or a shirt. So all the people wearing X's in their shirts can get together and be counted. So if I had 3 people with X's in their shirts and 2 people with X's in their shirts, I'd have 5 people with X's on their shirts. If I had 4 people with Y's in their shirts and 3 more people with Y's in their shirts, there'd be 7 people with Y's in their shirts. But if I had 3 people with X's on their shirts and 4 people with Y's on their shirts, you cannot combine them to be 7 people with XYs on their shirts because their shirts don't change. And maybe that'll make things a little simpler as we talk more about this. Here, I'm going to erase this and we'll do one more. Maybe this will be helpful. Let's choose a better color here. I think that green will be nice. All right, 2y minus 1 plus 3 minus 4y. So let's start looking for things that look similar. We'll start reading left and right. I ask myself, what is there that also has a y next to it? Well, this guy doesn't have a y, and this guy doesn't have a y, but this guy does. And we have to be sure that we take the sign with it, because we need to know that we're subtracting 4 y's. And I can combine these two. And I can also say that these two guys can be combined. So 2y and negative 4y is going to give us a negative 2y, and a negative 1 and positive 3 is going to give us a plus 2. So we've simplified this now, right? We started with 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, and we simplified it to just 2 terms. And we've combined like terms. Let's just remind ourselves again, if we drew it over here, that if I have 3 people with Y's on their shirts and 4 people with their Y's on their shirts. I have 7 people with Y's. But if I have 4 people with X's on their shirts and 3 people with Y's, that they do not give us 7 XYs. They stay the same and cannot be simplified. There are still just 4 people with X's and 3 people with Y's on their shirts. So in this case, this is simplified. We'll do one more, and this time we're going to do it with 3 different terms. How about 3x plus 6y plus 2 minus 2x plus 4y. So now I've added a second variable in here. But let's do this. Let's circle all the ones with the x's. Again, being sure to circle it with the sign. Let's go ahead and circle all the ones with y's, making sure that we get the ones with their sign. This one also has a y next to it. And the 2 is all by itself. No friends. So I can combine like terms. 3x minus 2y, 1x. 6y plus 4y, 10y. And then this guy comes down 2. So I started with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms, and I've simplified to 3 terms. And I know that I can look at this again and see there are no terms now that can still be combined. And I know that I am now what they call in simplest terms. Okay, I hope this is helpful. I'm gonna in the next lesson going to give you we're going to add distributive property in this to give you guys a couple of little twists and turns with this. Okay, hope this helps for now.